Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Danjo number 1638 in a 613 finish. This is what the manufacturer calls a Dutch door bolt. I don't know of any supplier, manufacturer, vendor who calls a Dutch door bolt such when they're this long. Generally, a Dutch door bolt is about 4.5 inch in length. Although this is exactly what a Dutch door bolt would look like if it was about 4.5 inch in length. Okay, this is part of a table of bolts that they have. They're all the same. The only thing that changes is the length. This happens to be a 24-inch version of this item that they have here. 24 inch is going to be a reference to the length of the half moon or half round rod itself. About 24, just heavy on 24 inch. The rest of the dimensions, and it's heavy, by the way, 1.85 pound. The width, about 5/8. The thickness of the bar looks like it's about 1/4 inch. Let's take a look at the, let's take a look at the diameter of the knob. About 1.25 inches, maybe just shy on that. Overall projection from what would be the face of the door, about 1.125 inches. Okay, this is in the 613 finish. That means oil rub bronze. This is not a true 613 because it's not made of bronze. It's made of brass. Also, Danjo does not. Danjo uses the term 613 too loosely, too liberal. The use of 613. That means that it's bronze-based material with an oil rub finish. This is brass, and it's a bit, there's no problem with it being dark because that's permitted as oil rub bronze. You might look at this video and say, well, that's black. Well, and I wouldn't say you're wrong, but I would tell you that this is not black. This is oil rub bronze. If you held this up to something truly black, such as the case of my caliper, it's not black. Okay. And only in the presence of something that's absolutely black do you realize, oh, I see that that's not black. So be mindful. Oil rub bronze is actually the definition itself and expressly allows a wide range, light to very dark. When it comes to oil rubbed, it's what's called a living finish. There's a small amount of residue on my hands because it's, as the name infers, oil rubbed. It's rubbed with oil. So if you run your hand down it, you're going to have some residual on your hand. So be mindful. If you want oil rub bronze, you're inherently going to be agreeable to a wide range of what that ultimate finish will look like. Nice quality bolt. Now the question that we get all the time is, what's the projection of the bolt? Well, the projection of the bolt is literally the dimension of how far this one guide can slide. And let's measure that from that brass pin that's there. Sorry. There we go. To the guide. About 1 3/16 inches, maybe 1.125 inches, right in that range. Okay. That would be your throw or your projection. Okay, now let's take a look at the strike plates that are included, and then once we review those, we'll move to the next portion of the video. This is what I would call the mortise strike. There are 3 included, about 2 inch by about 3/4, just heavy on that. Then you have the what I would call a rim strike. Some people might call it a T-strike. It is a T-strike, but I'd call it a rim strike when it's going to be used on hardware that's rim or perimeter mounted on perimeter of the door. Overall height of the rim strike, about 1 7/8 inches. Overall depth, about 1 9/16 inches. Then we have an angle strike. That angle strike, about 2 1/8 by about 1 inch by about 7/16. That will be used in particular applications, which I'm about to describe. Then you have a bag of fasteners, screws for everything. Now, let's switch to the screen view and let's take a closer look at how you will use those 3 different strike plates depending on your application. Then we'll switch back to the, we'll look at the item on the screen as well. So let's move on. Now, the concept of why you might have 3 strikes is pretty simple and straightforward once you really understand what they're thinking about. You have that mortise strike. It's just flat. Okay? You have that T-strike, which I called a rim strike. Then you have the angle strike, which is going to look like this. And that it's also going to look like this, top-down sort of view. Those are the 3 strikes. So the question becomes is, what side of the door are you installing the material onto? If it's going to be the push side of the door, you could easily use the mortise strike and the rim strike. Pardon me, the angle strike. Okay? Let's take a look at why we might use those on the push side of the opening. Let's say that we have a jamb, and let's look at it from the jamb perspective first, a cross section of just the jamb. Push side of the opening. Your door is here. Your door is going to swing out. Okay, great. Let's install didn't say I was an artist. Let's install your bolt on the side of the door. You know, obviously not an 18-inch bolt is going to be installed here, but you would take that, and obviously we're really out of scale here, but you would take that rim strike and you would mortise it. Pardon me, it's a mortise strike. You would mortise that right to the edge of the door here, or to the jamb. Okay, and that's just going to go right in here. Is how that's going to work. Okay, so it'd be a very typical place for you to install that. If you were doing a vertical mount, which probably is what's going to happen for this client, because it is such a long bolt. This is a cross section. Okay, now that bolt that angle strike on the push side, that's going to go right here, is where that's going to go. And then your bolt is just going to be able to come in here. Okay? So that angle strike gets put right into this would be considered the stop. That's what we call the soffit. That's the face of the stop right there. Okay? So you're going to mortise out some of the stop face and some of the soffit for that angle strike to fit right there. Probably what the client is using. Now, to take the conversation a little bit further, this would be top of the door. You would use this at the bottom of your door. So if you have and this client ordered a 18-inch and a 24-inch. So I was going to get, if I were to guess, the 24 is going up here, the 18 is going down here, and you would likely use a mortise strike like this because it will be just applied to the floor or to the sill or threshold, whatever it is. Okay. Now, if you were to have a pull side mount, which you could very likely have, this would be bottom. This is top. Okay. Now, if we were going to do a pull side mount, we'd use the rim strike. Pull side mount would be a door that's going to look like this. Your door is here. Okay. Door swings out this way. Now your surface bolt is going to be right here. Okay. That rim strike, you're going to put right here. Let that hang off a little bit, and that's going to go right through the opening. You'll mortise it to your jamb, and that's where you would apply that. Okay, so pull side is going to be the universal strike. Well, rim strike. I'm calling it a rim strike. Rim strike because the hardware is installed on the rim or perimeter of the door is why we would call it that. And that's where I would use those 3 different strikes. should be able to be pretty functional in that regard. Let's continue this. Okay, so here is the 1638 item, and we're looking at this in the oil rub bronze finish. Let's see what other finishes are available on this item. Okay, this is going to be listed available as the other finishes as follows. 605 is polished brass. 613 is our oil rub bronze. 619 is satin nickel. 620 antique nickel. 625 polished chrome. 626 satin chrome. This is available in. Now, below this video is extended description information. 24-inch, 5/8 half round, furnished with rim, mortise, and T-strikes. I'm calling them rim, mortise, and angle strikes. 1-inch diameter knob, a little bit bigger than that. Screws are included. And then sold as each. There's a link to the template that's here. It's going to be very handy. Let's take a closer look at that. That will give all of the dimensional properties beyond what I've already provided. Also refers to the other finishes that are available here as well. Okay, so a handy document. Then there's a link to the product catalog, and that's very helpful because it will allow you to review all things bolt and latch related from Danjo. It's a pretty popular area in Chicago, having grown up in Chicago, the Riverwalk area here. Boats are constantly taking tourists up down the Chicago River. Architectural tours are very common, very highly recommended. Chicago is certainly known as a city and general area with a substantial footprint in the world of American architecture, certainly. Mies van der Rohe, obviously, Frank Lloyd Wright in the greater area. There's a Mies van der Rohe building literally right here is where it would be. It's really cool stuff. So the bolts and latches would be flush bolts here, manual flush bolts for metal and wood doors, an automatic style for a metal door, automatic for a wood door, residential flush bolts. The key is bolt, is why we're looking at this. Aluminum storefront style bolts, manual flush bolts, dust-proof strikes. Those are installed when you're going to run a bolt into the floor and you don't want there to be an empty large hole in the floor. These are spring-loaded and we'll seal that off very nice. Roller latches are here for both commercial. I'd say this is residential, the 1710. Ball catches are here, very residential in nature, keeping those inactive doors or doors with just dummy trim in the closed position. A three-way catch is here. You can approach these two ball bearings that are spring biased here with this strike from this way, straight on, or from the bottom. Very handy when you want to keep cabinet doors closed. Magnetic catches for single and double doors with two different strengths for double doors, which also can be used for single doors. A key lockable surface bolt. Typical surface bolts that you would see for commercial applications. One here that you can padlock closed. Modern style bolts. These are nice because they are available in a very short length, a 2-inch. 4-inch is the most common, but they go out to 12 inch as well. Now here's our Dutch door bolts. Now this first one, the 1630, I'd call that a Dutch door bolt. The rest of them I would just call surface bolts. The only thing that's different on all of these part numbers is just the length. 4.5, 8, 12, 18, 24, 36. Now why would you use a 36-inch surface bolt? Or, well, in this case a 24-inch bolt. But why would you use these longer bolts? Well, 8-inch is very common. 12-inch is pretty common as well. You get longer than that. And there's two reasons. Number one, your door is tall, like 8 foot, 9 foot, 10 foot tall, and you need the bolt that's going to secure that door at the top to grow in length along with the height of the door. Otherwise, you'll need a step stool every time you want to latch and bolt and unbolt your door. Also, you know, as the proportion of the door grows, you want the proportion of the hardware to grow as well. If you have a 12-foot ceiling in a kitchen and you've got giant cabinets that run up darn near to the top of to the underside of the ceiling, you're not going to put 4-inch center-to-center cabinet poles on there. Those will be much larger. That's the other concept as well. So you're going to use longer bolts when your doors get taller, primarily, and then for proportion reasons, but also usability, I would say. People will use longer bolts at the bottom if you have a pair of doors, as I demonstrated earlier. You might want a longer bolt so that you don't have to reach down so far, and then it goes into that concept of being proportional as well. Okay. Now there's a link below this video here to the manufacturer's page, where we can pull up not only all of the Danjo products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation here, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog as seen here. But that catalog is broken down into these subsections. Our bolts and latches are here. Danjo also has other items like push and pull hardware, very appropriate for residential applications. In terms of residential applications, you might run into wraparound plates, door reinforcing wraparound plates, and if you know the name Danjo, it is probably for either wraparound plates or latch protectors, but also strike plates. They have a very comprehensive offering of extended lip strike plates. Okay, let's wrap up this video on camera. In conclusion, nice quality item from Danjo. A very nice quality company as well. Very simple and straightforward folks to work with. Generally, the person who answers the phone can answer all of your questions. And this video is showing this to be much darker than it actually looks like in real life. You know, again, if I were to hold that up to my black case, you can see the gold, or not gold, you can see the oil sort of bronze tones come through. Okay, a little bit better. If you have any questions on the Danjo, this is their part number 1638 Dutch door bolt or surface bolt in a 24-inch length, or any other Danjo product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.